Hello everyone, welcome to the ongoing trials and tribulations of GigaBoots as they travel through the Netflix catalog. I'm your host, Anime Danime, and with me is Bob.
Is there some forbidden alchemy that gets my time back from watching this movie?
No, from GigaBoots, Dr. Aggro.
Echoey clap noise.
From Dr. Aggro and Chris Wolfhart.
I'm broken, so this was fine.
That's right, we watched Fullmetal Alchemist, The Revenge of Scar, or Scar no Revengeau. Probably, I don't know, I didn't look it up.
Wow.
We're here to talk about the live-action adaptation of Fullmetal Alchemist. This is the second of them. Real quick, before we get into our usual bits, we need to talk about how much people have seen. Has anyone here not seen the original Fullmetal Alchemist series? Has anyone here not seen the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood series?
I read the manga.
I have not watched Brotherhood or read the manga, but I have seen the original entire series and the movie. Has anyone here not seen the original Fullmetal Alchemist live-action movie from 5 years ago?
That'll be me.
Oh, hey.
That would be me also. I did not watch it. I'm like, well, I'll fucking figure it out.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you guys watched it for content.
No,
Oh.
that was just me and Dan.
Just decided to do that.
Dude, it is my curse to watch every live-action adaptation of an anime.
Gotta go back for Aeon Flux.
Well, if you're new to our Spoilercaster reviews, I will inform you this is how it goes. At the beginning, we do a 2-sentence summary of how we felt about the film and then some sort of sound to encapsulate our feelings. Then we will launch into an in-depth discussion of various elements about it, the plot itself, etc., etc. And then at the end, we will give you our scores out of 10 points possible, each making for a total of 40 points. And then you'll know what we think about this. We're going to go ahead and start the super summary with Bob. Bob, what did you think about FMA TROS, The Revenge of the Sith?
It's like if Fullmetal Alchemist was remade by a high school troupe, but they were all in their 30s and still couldn't act.
If you haven't figured it out by then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and the sound.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go next to Chris Wolfhart.
I'm a broken human being who had watched way too many Netflix things that have come out. So I'm going to give this a...
Okay, next up, Dr. Aggro.
Based on the gnashing of teeth and wailing lamentations I heard about the first one, I was pleasantly surprised by how benign this experience was. So I'm gonna give it a,
I'm supposed to do a 2-sentence summary of a movie that was a Campbell's condensed soup of like, what was it, 6 hours of anime into nothing but the important plot points. I'm going to give this a, And with that out of the way, we'll now launch into discussing things. Yeah, I have no idea why they cast that princess as a 30-year-old woman or whatever. That she's supposed to be like 12, isn't she?
Yeah, she's like the tiniest person in the universe. And they're like...
Well, Elric is Edward is supposed to be like 15 and he's being played by someone who's 30 and really obviously 30.
Mm-hmm.
Scar is supposed to be, a little older than
I know
the weird teenager they got to play him.
It's weird. They brought everyone to the same range of ages except for the Führer. The Führer's clearly older.
Edward has the excuse of they cast this guy 5 years ago for the last movie. So he looked younger then. The new characters don't have that excuse.
There does seem to be a thing of like, man, we got look at this lineup of people that we found and put them in costumes and makeup to look like really similar to these anime characters, except for a very specific list of people that just look like K-pop stars.
Yeah, that is how the casting went on that. I would like to say, the numerous scenes throughout this that look like they're filmed on the same CG street, where past a certain point, it's clearly green screen and CG. And
Yeah.
most of that first movie occurs exclusively in that zone. So if you can imagine every other set you went to in this film not existing virtually.
Yeah, based on what I've heard, I had to imagine this was a fucking step up in the visual department.
It's better, for sure. It is absolutely better than the first one.
I feel like there was probably, there was definitely more like real stuff, which I realized when I'm like, we're sure at this quaint village intersection in a lot of scenes.
Yes.
Yeah, it still feels like there's so little space. Like everything feels like it's locked in a 10-foot like square grid.
Yeah, a lot of the time, yeah.
See, you fucked up, Dan. You made me watch Cowboy Bebop the Netflix before this.
That's fair.
And I'm like, this has real stuff and they're trying and it's 2 hours instead of 12.
Yeah, this is like charming.
Yeah, it's something about it. Just seeing all of these things that were so immaculately done in the anime, done so amateurishly. I assume this hits like the level of a Kamen Rider show.
Yes, it actually there's very, very many points in this where I'm like, this is exactly like a Kamen Rider show. I forget who, I think it was Winry, where she does like this pose that's very cartoonish.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's in like every episode of a tokusatsu ever, is like a character doing like a weird cartoony pose.
Yeah, every single character at some point in this does a thing that's directly from the anime, but doesn't fit here at all.
They do anime reactions like, guys, no, we do that in anime because of the medium it's in. The timing doesn't work when real people do it.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating.
It has that. I find that I find that almost charming after fucking Netflix Bebop.
Yeah, like I've said it before, if you're gonna adapt something like anime, I would much prefer you go this cartoonishly into it to just make it look like it and act like it, rather than going the other way and trying to translate it.
I think that there's a level between that where you can lean into it and do it well, whereas this feels like it falls on its face every time it tries.
Yeah, it's called Versus.
Yes.
I mean,
you
there's
need
also
actual choreographers.
There's also stuff like Sin City. Sin City, I feel like gets a pulp aesthetic across, right? It gets the pulp noir or whatever across. If this was hitting on that level, I'd be like, this fucking rules. I like the part where this person was obviously green screen driving shittily.
Yes.
I can't believe that this isn't on the level of a summer blockbuster made by an auteur.
Right.
Hey.
That pushed visuals in the medium forward because it was all fucking weird.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool if it was like that. I'm not saying that's what I come in expecting. I've seen far too many live action anime adaptations to come in expecting.
Yeah, every fight in this is really amateur looking.
Yeah, like the very first one at the train.
Yeah, I remember actually sitting there being stunned by the one on the train. I'm like I go find the stunt actors that normally wear Power Ranger outfits and come have them put on these ninja masks.
Yeah.
Like you have these people.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand why why it's so clumsy and slow looking.
And also they're trying to do that thing you do in kung fu movies of cutting frames to make it look harder, but they cut way too many frames and it just looks amateurish.
And it's almost at random.
Yeah.
Yeah, they aren't doing hit stops.
No.
For effect.
I remember during the Lin fight where he's fighting Bradley, which I was psyched for because your boy really loves Oxtail Dow. And Bradley's straight swords look so fucking cool in live action. And they started that fight, and 10 seconds later, I'm shouting at my screen, "Stop cutting!"
Yeah. Also, I went and I booted up Brotherhood to compare some of these things.
Oh no!
And it's like Brotherhood's whole thing is everything is kind of huge feeling. Like fights happen across several rooftops and go into buildings. And here, again, they're stuck in that 10-foot by 10-foot CG room.
Yeah, even when they're on a rooftop, they're standing like 10 feet away around a water tower.
Yeah.
It has that vibe in a lot of scenes. And in fact, it's so strong that when you see the shot of the entire cast put diagonally across an alley, it looks really faked. Like they're all standing in their own 10-foot thing and then just move to the right or down and to the left.
Yeah, I feel like that's where a lot of even as I was watching it, I was realizing, man, why am I giving this movie such a fucking benefit of the doubt? And I realized because I wasn't watching it like a movie that has these drawbacks. I was watching it as a stage play that has all these bonuses.
Yes, that's also kind of how I was going. Also, I just kept thinking, wow, this is so much higher rent than that One Piece Netflix show is going to be.
Oh,
I don't know. They're building sets for that. That's more than this has.
Yeah, that helps.
They built a set for that.
Yes.
A set where not very much happens in the actual thing.
They will make.
So I'm afraid that a lot of things are going to happen there.
A whole hell of a lot's gonna happen there.
I'm excited for the 2 episodes straight of just on the boat.
But yeah, when it comes to that element of this, everyone's clearly on a stage, right? And they're green screened out and et cetera, et cetera. This still isn't as terrible as the first one or the Attack on Titan live action movie.
Oh, that one must just be a nightmare.
That one was rotten.
That one's bad, but there are certain things it does that were a lot more visually interesting to me.
Possibly, yeah.
Like, there are a lot more things that engaged my brain, made me feel like I was watching a movie, not some horror.
Yeah, but then,
this is.
Then they spend like 20 minutes in the night zone and everything looks terrible nonstop for 20 minutes.
They do. They absolutely, there's just a part in that movie where they stop and I have no money.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun fact for listeners and people in this call who don't know otherwise, that is the only Attack on Titan thing I've consumed.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm like, this seems wrong. Is the anime? No. Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. This movie, which we're gonna get a little bit into spoilers now. I want to steer this a little bit more into spoilers, just to talk about more of the things that happen in it specifically. This movie reminded me that Lust died in the first movie. I completely forgot.
Yeah, because the first movie, unlike this one, is not just a direct recreation of the events leading up to this.
Yeah.
Whereas
it's
everything
really
in this
weird.
almost feels like, it's all the scenes from the show you remember, but in a little bit different order.
Yeah, it's kind of shuffled around.
It's all the flavor in this bowl of soup condensed into a can.
It started to feel like they made a deck building game out of Fullmetal Alchemist, and you're just drawing random characters and scenes
Yes,
and seeing what you can make. So many times during this movie, I just screamed, "What the fuck happened in the first one?"
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
not gonna help.
Like, Lust isn't here. Why can Alphonse do circleless alchemy?
Yeah, I don't know if that actually got explained in the first one.
They don't. No,
yeah, I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure
think
it's
they
just,
do.
well, he couldn't at this point in the anime, so he can now. Because there are a lot of things like that, because there's a scene really late in this, it's like, yeah, it turns out that the things are going high up in the government. We're not sure exactly how. And then the other dude tells them, oh yeah, the king is even one of the homunculuses.
Yeah.
In the show, Roy is interrogating that other hollow armor person that's actually in the show. And that's how they find out. That's not in the old one. That's not in the first movie at all. I don't think they cover any of that stuff. So
No, I don't know.
They weren't shelling out Barry the Chopper the way Alphonse looked in that first one.
Yeah, this I feel like this had a bunch of characters doing a bunch of things nonstop in scenes to drive the plot forward, but it almost seemed like spiritless. Like, it just keeps going forward, and it's that sort of thing where you're stuck in the car with your parents and they're driving you somewhere and you're like, I don't care about where we're going at all. It just didn't land for me.
Yeah.
Like, the film just, it does nothing for me. It's seriously sitting there and it's like, hey, does this turn you on? And I'm like, no, nothing's going on down there. I'm sorry.
That's what it is. Like, this movie doesn't have an internal sense of itself. This movie is made, weaponized, focused for Fullmetal Alchemist fans. They're like,
yeah,
do you like this? Do you want to see this scene?
I loved Fullmetal Alchemist, but the thing was like, this
Not
doesn't
like this, you didn't.
No, not like this. I didn't. It didn't do enough for me in like the way of a viewable, like Fullmetal Alchemist. They have weight to all these scenes. When they do them in this movie, it's like, okay, and we're done with that story beat. Winry, come out in.
Yes. They literally vacuumed out all the interesting characters and emotions from the story of Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah.
And that's what we have. We have this weird hollow corpse.
That's not what they're here to do.
Yeah, it's so strange.
Like, you got 2 hours to do a season worth of hits.
See, that's really the difference between this and the Netflix adaptations of anime. This is an open casket funeral. You can look at the body and be like, yeah, that's Fullmetal Alchemist. I can tell, officer. And with Netflix, it's like, I'm sorry, we're going to have to check the dental records to confirm that this is indeed Cowboy Bebop.
Jesus.
A pine box full of soup.
Yeah. That is how Bebop Netflix felt.
Like this thing has a beautiful scale of how dead on to the anime some of these characters look. Like some of the main characters, they've got great wigs and costumes.
Not enough of the main characters. Winry's right there.
Yeah, I was like, why is she not blonde? Why is she
Yeah,
not
blondes
blonde?
blondes tend to not get converted in these types
Everybody else did.
projects.
And then Hawkeye's wig is terrible.
You've got a bunch of like the mid-level characters who are just sort of in the background and they got weird faces and like Scar's master, it was like, oh damn, it's him as soon as you walked in. It was
Yeah,
like,
they did a pretty good job with him, surprisingly.
Hanako looked pretty good. There's a few characters who were and then glory of glories or horror of horrors, there is Alex Louise Armstrong.
Oh God, he is both not ripped enough and also disturbing.
Like he pulls the shirt off. I'm like, is this CG or am I just seeing what this man can do?
He's a Cabbage Patch man.
Sometimes he's up on stilts in some scenes, it seems.
Yeah,
Yes.
his head has to be CG or a horrible makeup.
The fucking confidence with which they sent him out with that hair curl.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something. It really is
See,
something.
I really liked that, honestly. I'm like, this looks bad, but I'm clapping.
Yeah. It was like, wow.
You
they
were
swung.
brave to try and make a real human being look like that. It really bothers me how Al looks, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah?
I don't know how to phrase it. It's like, that's an anime set of armor. You needed to make at least a few changes if it's going to be walking around in physical space. Also, the fact it looks like they just made it out of garbage cans. Plastic garbage cans.
Mm-hmm. It still boggles me that it being CG was the choice.
Well, that
Is
was
it CG?
cheaper.
Yeah.
It was easier than making practical anything.
See, it tricked me sometimes. Like, it existed perfectly in this. Is this a really simple looking costume or is it CG? And it fucked with me enough that I wasn't sure either way.
To me, it looks like Xbox game intro CG, like Xbox original. It's like, ooh, this Phantom Crash Mac is so fancy.
It does get helped a lot by, like, it looks really at home in the backgrounds they CG'd.
Yes, that must have been it. Where
Right,
it's like when it's more interacting with people, my brain starts to go, is this fake? Funniest scene in this movie to me, the absolute funniest scene is when Hohenheim is leaving Winry's house. And you see this shot of like the road in front of him and you can see the seam where the green screen starts. He's like, he can't walk very far towards that.
Yeah. Just like when Edward's walking towards that house and they have the CG dog next to him. I'm like, why did you need to CG a dog? And then later in the film, they had a real dog.
Yeah,
And that made that all the more confusing.
They threw a knife at its head.
I know. That was pretty good.
Fucked up.
I was like, they got a real dog for this knife. Oh, shit. Okay, sure. All right.
I was really glad we only saw 2 shots of that CG dog.
Yeah,
It was
100%.
horrifying.
I thought we would see more. Maybe they had scenes and they just cut them.
Maybe.
They're like, we need to focus to what matters. Flashbacks. Hey, I hear they have ruins in the east. Oh, okay. I'll turn and I'll be there.
Yes.
Oh, I'm there.
Right? I was like, okay, we're doing this now. At any point in the first movie, did Ed clap and pull a blade out of his automail arm? Because he sure didn't do it in this one.
You know, I kept waiting for it. I don't remember. It's been too long.
I don't think he did it, but I could be wrong. Once again, it's been 5 fucking years.
Yeah.
And at no point did I think, I should watch that again.
God, just watching random clips from the Brotherhood, I'm like, oh wow, alchemy does cool stuff.
Yeah.
Not once in this movie. Not once does that used in an innovative, interesting way. It's always just...
It's usually the shockwave.
Yeah, the shockwave, or I shoot little pellets at you. It's like, that's boring.
I don't know. I liked the part where he machine guns Scar with the wall.
I mean, that is kind of what happened in those couple of fights.
Yeah, I guess it's just seeing, you know, it in this horrible quality, and then looking at anything else that happened in that franchise.
Yeah, much cooler things happen in those.
Yeah, just thinking about, I'm like, man, Fullmetal Alchemist is so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so much. Watching these movies just made me want to go back and watch it. And then part of me went, what if it's not as amazing as you remember? And I actually...
No, it will be.
You promise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you've never seen Brotherhood before. So
I've never seen Brotherhood. I know how the beginning... I saw the first 2 episodes of Brotherhood, so I know the whiplash that is. We're going to go ahead and speed this up a bit at the beginning.
Yes.
So like the 03 made more money than God, so we're just going to make it again and make more money than God by spending all of the money to make this anime.
Yes. I'm really interested in watching that, but I did get scared in the middle of watching this. I did. Part of me started to... like the seed of doubt started growing in me. I'm like, what if it's not like fucking amazing? You know, like Death Note, the smartest anime ever. I can't stand the Death Note anime. Death Note is a franchise where I enjoyed the manga so much, and then they made so many different adaptations that all suck. But Dan, you haven't watched these 2 live action things from Japan. You're right, and I will someday, but I don't have to.
This is more just a general Fullmetal Alchemist thing, but it did make me remember, this movie did make me remember all the like, man, the government might be evil, and then we better talk to our leader, the Fuhrer.
Yes.
I don't know how many years I watched that show at Adult Swim before I realized his name is King Bradley. I thought Fuhrer King was his title.
Yeah, I also... Even now, I had that backwards. I was like, well, Fuhrer is his real name, and then he's the king. No.
Really? I thought it was Fuhrer King, like God King.
Right.
Right,
like, I'm like, that's so bad. Oh, no, his name's just King Bradley. Like, that's also pretty bad.
They could have explained that better. Put a fucking mask on him. Make him make lion roars or panther sounds. Anything. Like, come on. Help me out here.
Shit, did they said which homunculus he is in this movie, right?
Yeah.
What? Did they? I don't think so. I don't think
they didn't say it out loud, no.
I thought I thought Father might have addressed him.
No, I don't think he did. I don't think he... Wait, maybe... No, I don't think he did.
I was fucking...
Because they swap them, right?
Yeah.
Between 03 and Brotherhood and the shuffleboard game, like when we're on the train and Edward falls off and Hughes catches him, I'm like, oh, cool. And then he's like, there's no way you could be Hughes. I'm like, why not? Hughes is on this train. And then he turns into Envy, and I shout, what the fuck happened in the first movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they went through everything that revolved around lust in the last movie.
Yeah, they speed ran it in a way that was even more psychotic.
Yes.
I don't want to think about that first movie anymore.
Yeah, that fight where the girl ninja loses her arm.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about how lame that was in the movie while watching it, me and Dan.
Yeah, because Fuhrer King Bradley, just does one swipe and it just cuts her arm, and she's like, I'm done.
Yeah, so I went back to that scene in the anime because I needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's sold so much harder. She's like 2 stories up. The dude like shadow steps up to her and slices the arm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
Like the main thing I remember about Fullmetal Alchemist at this point is the point in the end where King Bradley is just beating the shit out of everyone who comes at him.
Yeah.
Like nobody can do shit.
Oh, he's so good. Like, he's got like 3 of those straight sabers strapped to each hip. And I'm like, this is fucking amazing.
I just remember the part where it's like, oh, I'm going to own you, King Bradley. I'm going to blow myself up and take you with me. Not if I cut all the fuses on your dynamite.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, I do think he was undersold in this because the biggest example, the biggest showcase of his powers, they cut to the distance and there's an explosion, which could have not been him. But
yeah, that wasn't him. That was the girl pulling a bomb out.
Right.
Blowing it
but
up.
then they have that line where they're like, he's so powerful. And I'm like, I didn't see that. I saw him swing a sword once, her arm get hit, and her go, I'm dead now. Just leave me. Speaking of which, we don't do the best character bit for our Spoilercast and reviews like we do Curse Content, Curse Committee, but best character Hawkeye solved 2 encounters by firing a bullet once each time. I'm like, man, these guns seem... Am I saying that right? Guns?
Yeah.
These seem pretty efficient. We should maybe get those involved a little bit more often. Scar's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Get shot in the leg. Fuck! Ah!
Oh my god!
Jesus, this hurts. And I'm like, good job, Hawkeye.
Discovered his weakness.
And bullets.
Man, did they ever like Scar's actor keeps doing the hold up my destroyer hand thing.
Yeah.
And they just keep leaving him hanging with the lightning effects. They just don't do any.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They ran out of money. They made the CG background, and they're like, well, we can't afford the lightning anymore.
Well, you see, Vegas suspended their license while they were making this movie.
He holds up his hand and it says asset not found.
Just a big exclamation point.
Yep.
God.
Yeah, I when it comes to this, it truly speed ran a lot of plot points really fast in a way that was not as entertaining as Welcome to Raccoon City, but just the same level of you should give anyone any time to do anything, like just a thing.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing is the people that get the most time in this is like the Shambhala invasion flashback or Ishvala.
This, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this movie, is this a new one? A new version of that word?
Ishvala?
Because there's Ishvala,
Ishvalan.
Ishvarlan.
I also noticed they changed the name from Alchemy to the Purification Arts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For the Chinese.
Interesting.
alchemy.
I didn't know it was alchemy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Really weird choices. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I think Ishvala is new because, as you said, Ishbala and Ishvarla. Ishbalin.
Like, adaptations like this never keep the fucking wording consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Not ever.
Speaking of which, we got to talk about dub versus sub. How did you watch this? Bob and I did dub. Aggro.
I watched the sub.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched it subbed because
Okay.
That we should have.
We should have. The
Absolutely.
dub was terrible for some reason.
Okay, now I need to know. Now I need to know who is Ed, because obviously it isn't going to be Vic.
I was like, it's not going to be him. What's the fucking point if I'm not going to get the experience?
The only returning voice actors I found were Winries and Lynn.
That's
Wow.
it. In the whole movie.
In the whole movie.
Watching this movie, not only is there that, but also the casting for voice type is very homogenous.
Yeah.
Scar sounds like Ed, sounds like Roy, sounds like everyone else. They're all kind of doing the same sort of angle on their voice, and it sucks.
Even King Bradley.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Oh,
he sounds way too young.
Like,
Yeah.
you cannot throw this movie at me, dub it, and not give me Armstrong.
Yeah.
Like no.
The weird thing is I don't think the first movie had this problem at all. I'm pretty sure Hughes is Hughes. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure Hughes was
I
Hughes.
think the first movie had like all the main voice cast.
This sure is a Netflix dub.
God damn it.
Yeah.
We got to save the real actors for the DVD that will be allowed to have that dub.
Yeah, I just have to think like, oh yeah, that Lynn sounds really great. He really nailed it. He's the only one that shot in the whole thing.
Oh.
You know, I would like to point out something I meditated on while watching this, something that occurred to me that never occurred to me before because I haven't revisited Fullmetal Alchemist since I ran into Vic at a con after that point in time in my life. There is a certain brilliance to casting Edward as Vic because you instantly realize Ed's kind of a piece of shit. The person they cast as Ed in this did not nail that at all.
Yeah, it's also weird to see them try to do things where it's like, well, Ed is supposed to be 15. He acts that way in this movie, and yet he's played by a 30-year-old, and it just comes off as weird and wrong.
So between the casting and the dub
I think
choice,
that part's funny.
between the casting and the dub choice, it gets to a really weird zone where I'm just kind of discomforted by the whole thing. It's weird. It's truly strange. Mei Chang, I believe, is that how it said? Mei Chang?
I think so.
Her casting is the absolute
She is absolutely the worst casting voice. Well, I guess not voice, but actress for sure.
I just spent the whole time being like, I feel like I must be completely wrong on how old this character was originally because this isn't remotely landing. But yeah, I don't know. It's
Like that casting really felt to me like somebody went up to the director and said, "Hey, do you want an age-appropriate actress for the role?" And he went, "Fuck no. I don't have that kind of patience. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
She's got like 4 scenes. They couldn't do it though.
Yeah, that's too many. She might like ruin the green screen or something.
What could go wrong?
Children can do anything. I can't wait for Japan to get their own nightmare Unreal Engine green screen stage like they have for the Star Wars shows and those other high-end projects. Because I want to see how that can be done completely wrong. I want to see how it's just like the talent is literally nauseated. Because for people who don't know, they track the 3D position in the motion vectors of the camera. So the green screen projects to the actors exactly what the camera needs to see from any given angle, meaning the actors see the whole world shift the whole time.
That's kind of insane.
Yeah, so apparently that could be really disorienting. I want to see that come across in the performances. I want
You want to see the disorientation come across?
Yeah, I want to see Edward just be squinting and trying to look into the distance. There's a whole lot of... I wish there were more fully real sets in this, is my whole thing.
Yeah, I think the only thing that felt like fully real was when they were in the train.
Yeah.
Which is funny to say because it's like, obviously, our side of the train is fake. But
Right,
that's not
obviously.
what matters.
Right. Because most of the screen is not that.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I'm going through them. Like it's the train, the Rock Bell's house, some of it.
Yeah. And like they have a little bit of the train station done, but more than 10 feet.
You could really see that cut off.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
I mean, for the extent to which they did it, I was like, okay, yeah, no. If you're gonna green screen a movie extensively, do it this much.
Yeah.
Just make the whole fucking movie look like this, so I don't like feel the handbrake pull when you have to do it.
Well, the funniest thing about Welcome to Raccoon City is that the beginning of it is filmed in real locations.
Oh no!
So when it shifts into that mode, you fucking feel it. I was like, oh, I guess outside the police station's a PS2 video game, and the entire Spencer Mansion is a PS2 video game. Yeah, I don't know. I find myself, it's not as bad as the first. And it's not as bad as the Attack on Titan live action movie. I cannot be the angriest I've ever been at one of these. But I also didn't enjoy it in the least. I'm quite soft on this movie.
It's what I was the whole time. I was like, please God, please let Dan and Bob say that this is better than the first one. Because if I feel like this is as okay as it is, and it's somehow the same or worse, I'm gonna get murdered.
Oh man, that's okay. You can just go watch that now, and then after this podcast comes out, tweet your opinion.
I was thinking like I'm gonna need to go rewatch the first one to see how much they covered and where they are. But apparently we're just pulling shit at random, so it does not matter what they did in the first one.
Yeah, I'm really concerned with how they follow up on this.
Yeah,
because that ending is awful. I can't believe they actually did the to be continued in the middle of a big scene.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm hoping desperately that they'd make a huge left turn and use the ending from the 03 series.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm still not sure.
I did the math. We covered in this 14 episodes from Brotherhood the anime.
Mm-hmm.
They have another 39 left. How we do it?
No one gets to talk.
It's entirely possible that the movie entitled The Final Alchemy is not in fact The Final Alchemy.
Okay, after what I just went through with Rurouni Kenshin live action adaptations, I don't need this shit. I don't need these theories. You need to say, Dan, I am positive beyond the shadow of a doubt. That's the last one. So you can watch it and feel safe.
Man, how is the Rurouni Kenshin ones of these like some of the best Japanese made adaptations?
Yeah, they really started getting it together.
Because they're just samurai movies, that thing that they know how to make and are good at making.
Like, man, how did the Japanese pull that off?
But that's the thing. They do a lot of like bombastic sets.
Yeah,
they have character designs that nail it a lot more than I feel this does.
Yes, absolutely. They like translate those to real life a lot better. Like
It's-
any ninja from the Oniwaban looks 10 times better than the 2 ninjas we got in this.
Yeah, it's just the budget on these just must be so low.
Yeah, I don't doubt that the Kenshin one got way more money.
Which seems crazy. Like Fullmetal Alchemist is a huge IP. You'd think they could get funding. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, especially after the Kenshin ones did so well. But then again, that's definitely why we're getting the second and the third one, is because the Kenshin ones did so well, because they did 5 of them.
Yeah, and they did the same setup for the last 2 with the Kenshin ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me check what the most recent Kenshin one, The Beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, that had yeah, they seem to somewhere hover around 4 to 5 times the budget of these FMA movies.
Yeah, no shit. You could see it on screen.
Yeah, for every second. Every
Also,
second.
they totally figured out how to do color grading at the third movie. The second one screws that up. But once they figured that out in the third one, and you don't have radioactive nighttime scenes, it actually is pretty solid visually and in other ways all around. It would be really nice if like this could land at that level of budget. It's unfortunate that they're not giving it enough, because I mean, I could just be some fucking out of touch millennial type, but I feel like Full Metal Alchemist is a huge IP in the same way that Rurouni was, right?
Yeah, like I feel like
know.
it's Full Metal's always been, it never has been, it's always been bigger than Kenshin. Like I don't feel like it's ever been the point where no, Kenshin's a bigger IP.
But like, did Kenshin land better in the long term consciousness, cultural consciousness than?
I mean, if you could say anything, it would be that Kenshin was, by virtue of being older, part of the old canon. So it might have had.
That's true. You never see anyone from Full Metal Alchemist. You don't see Edward Elric next to Goku and Sailor Moon in the poster. That's true. I don't know how much that actually matters in the grand scheme of things. You know what? We need to get the metrics that matter. How many GeoCity sites were there for Full Metal Alchemist?
If you can show me one Angel Fire fan site.
These are the numbers that investors care about. That's why they didn't get as much money. Maybe this is the wrong way to look at it. Like, both for them and me. But maybe, at some level, they went, there's no way this looks good. Let's not even try.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. Like, how did Kenshin get so much more money? They went, we want to make a samurai movie. Well, that sounds possible. Here's a reasonable budget.
We've done that a few times here in Japan.
Yeah, it really feels like this should have been worked out with some other company in a different country. And somehow ran it in and stop it from being some nightmare like Cowboy Bebop.
Are you telling me that some sort of like international casting to get appropriate actors might help some things in this?
It's a little weird when you have a racial genocide and both races are the same. It's a little weird.
Yes, that is weird. But unfortunately, the first movie came out like right after that stupid fucking Ghost in the Shell one. So every Western publication said they were doing it right.
Yeah, no, I can't. Bob, I would personally die if I had to live through the internet while a Japanese company cast white people to play FMA characters. I would fucking die having to read Twitter.
God.
I just, in the middle of the movie, I had to, because I couldn't not let out I can't believe they're Japan washing this film. I can't believe they're doing it, says man who's fucking stupid and hasn't watched any other Japanese live action adaptations. But yeah, that would have been, I mean, I watched the fucking Attack on Titan thing. But yeah, it would have been really neat if we got some serious money on this.
Yeah.
Why didn't like fucking Cameron get the rights to this? Like he did Alita. Where's that Alita money?
Get Legendary to fund something.
Yeah.
Well, he's a boomer, Dan, so he's like, well, I know Battle Angel Alita.
What the fuck
Does he though?
Full
Because I
Metal.
watched that movie and it doesn't seem like he does.
I don't know, Aggro. That movie matched up pretty closely with me looking at the covers of your copies. Battle Angel Alita. I hate that they changed her name in the movie. Why is she Alita? Isn't her original name Lolita?
I was terrified he was actually going to pop out with like some Gundam shit. Like, why didn't they call her Gally? I'm like, what the fuck?
You're not allowed to know this. I'm gatekeeping right now.
I don't get this movie, Cameron. Where's the 1,200-year-old vampire that looks like Cynthia from Pokemon? Where's that character?
Yeah, come on now.
Well, that's Last Order. You got to wait for a couple more sequels.
Where's the intergalactic karate masters, the coolest characters ever conceived?
Right?
Where's Alita's trans brother who fucking rules because he thinks taxation is theft?
I'm drawing a blank.
Zax.
Oh, fuck. Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
I apparently need to read this manga.
It's amazing.
Oh, it rules.
Can we trick like Cameron into funding some sort of Master of Musketon like fucking movie?
Oh man, get those O parts.
Yeah, get the O parts.
No.
He's like, sorry, all I care about now left in the anime world is read or die. And we're like, really?
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
Any day.
We take those.
I'm announcing the 3-part, $800 million budget licensed by Royalty film series. And I get to spend the next 2 years being like, yeah, that's a real thing. And I've seen it.
Fucking,
Just me.
Warner Brothers is like, we're going to need one more of these live action movies. And they're like, okay, we know just the IP. And they do Oran High Host Club. And I'm like, I can't believe they're all Japanese.
Except for Vic Mignogna, who literally is one of the dudes.
Hello, fellow high school students.
Oh, no.
I'm definitely not 50, and it's totally fine.
No. Fuck.
And of course, I don't even notice that. I'm just upset at the risk. I'm just, my job is to hate everything on YouTube for money. Yabba dabba dabba. Well, guys, if anything, our ADD-addled journey through all live-action adaptations, James Cameron and otherwise, has probably signaled to me we should probably be bringing this to a close. Are there any specific anecdotes, comments, or etc. you'd like to get out before we do our reviews?
This movie demonstrates the law of inverse practicality when it comes to adapting crazy cartoons into live action, in that you've got some wacky as shit stuff that they actually pulled off looking pretty real and nice. And you've got Kimberly, who is guy in wife beater with normal haircut, looking goofy as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very funny. I take really diligent notes during everything we watch. Like really diligent, psychotically so. And at some point in this movie, I went, why am I writing cliff notes for Fullmetal Alchemist?
Yep.
And I just stopped because I've seen Fullmetal Alchemist. It's probably the only thing we've ever watched where I went, I'm good. I know exactly what happens. A little bit of a missed opportunity. They didn't mix up the Scar and his older brother scene. You know, they could have had him be like, oh no, he put his arm on me. I need to give it back. And then he gives it back and his brother wakes up. He's like, oh my God, now I have 2 left hands. Could you imagine them being that faithful for everything else in this weird Cliff Notes way? And then they're like, this is a really great opportunity for a stand-up routine. This is a great comedy routine we got here.
You think Scar ever uses his brother's hand to masturbate?
I knew you were going to say that. The moment you said, do you think Scar? And I'm like, you fuck. I swear I've heard this from you 18 years ago.
Now that there's been a live action adaptation, somebody has to have the courage to ask the questions we need answering.
A director with vision would have answered that question.
Look, we know that the Ishbalan deity forbids alchemy because creation is only within the purview of the creator.
Uh-huh.
Does that include masturbation?
This fucking director of this live action movie is going to go to Comic-Con. You're just going to be in the crowd and be like, did he? Did he? And the director's going to be going like, well, yes, actually. And you're like, well, it's
And
not
the
in the
director
film.
will be pressing the button on the underside of the table over and over again.
The funny thing is, it's not one of those silent ones. It's a really loud buzzer sound.
You hear the Boost Mobile chirp.
Ooh, nostalgic. Whose phone is that? He says before getting tackled. Well, now that Aggro said the worst thing possible, he seems offended that I implied that's the worst thing possible.
It's like, I could come up with worse.
We're just gonna cruise right into the final summary and reviews with the scores. Let's start with Chris.
Like, I'm never going to watch this again. And honestly, there were parts where I'm like, oh, okay, fucking move along. But again, broken human being thanks to Cowboy Bebop and fucking all this other bullshit. So I'm only going to give it a 4 because I'm like, that wasn't really that painful. It was just kind of bad, which is a big step up from what, like I said, open casket funeral, closed casket funeral.
I really appreciate that you've gone to enough all-you-can-eat buffets and gotten food-borne illnesses so many times that if you go to a Golden Corral
is delicious.
That's a fantastic space to come from. We will go next to Dr. Aggro.
I have stated multiple times that I'm always a giant fan of anything that's gonna just take a swing at doing a weird thing, and this kind of like low rent community theater. Me and my friends did a cosplay skit at a con, but given like a CG effects budget, is right up my fucking alley. Is it a great piece of cinema, competently produced and well written? No.
Oh, that's a surprise. You surprised me with
Did it
that.
bring me a tremendous amount of joy? Yes, it did.
Holy shit.
So this broke better than even. I'm gonna give this fucking thing a 6.
Now, is an entire bag of potato crisps a meal? No. Did it make me happy when I finished the bag? No.
Would I do it again?
Yes. It's the light shrimp flavor. It's just so tasty. We now move to Bob.
This is like a completely soulless retelling of a thing I like. So it gets this huge debuff. I just couldn't stand it. I'm going to give it a 2.
Okay. Understandable. This is a gutter movie. It lives in the gutter. I feel like, much like in bowling, you know, you feel when the ball just goes into the gutter and you feel that feeling in your gut of, ah. And that's how I felt watching this. Fullmetal Alchemist, truly great stuff. This was so soulless by the notes. They follow every plot point to the T that they need to in order to get through it as fast as humanly possible. Not giving many, or rather, not giving any moments any time to breathe to really land. I'm going to give it a 3 because I feel like 3 is the real gutter score, right? It's not the worst case scenario. No, that's when you accidentally hit yourself in the teeth with the bowling ball or you drop it on your foot.
Right.
This didn't feel anything like that. This just felt like watching the bowl go into the gutter and getting no pins. Very, very regrettable. And worse yet, they have me interested in watching a third one because I need to know what these psychotic people do. Because they could go with 03 or Brotherhood.
Yeah, and then if you watch it, what if you spoil watching Brotherhood eventually?
Oh my god, that thought hadn't even entered my brain.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no.
What if it's some new nightmare ending?
Oh, that would be a best case scenario.
Absolutely. I want them to do more things to deviate. That would make my brain activate at all.
It was pretty good when L shot fucking Raito with a gun and then started playing Danny California on the guitar he's had the whole movie. Fuhrer King Bradley was a homunculus? Which one? George W. Bush. This month's GigaBoots videos were brought to you by the continued support of our executive producers, such as Esme, E. Lee Broyles, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, Burning Pepsi Man, Adam Admar, Cooper Tank, and Virmvarm. Thank you very much to our executive producers, and also these gamers. If you want to support GigaBoots so we can continue the content crunch, then head on over to patreon.com/GigaBoots today.